howdy, hey, how is everybody doing? And welcome back to Disney Daily. In the movie Hercules, we are first introduced to the powerful Zeus and Hera, king and queen of the gods and rulers of the cosmos. The two welcomed their child Hercules to the heavens, but sadly their son isn't destined to live out his life amongst the gods. As word of Hercules' birth reaches Hades, he ends up stripping the child of not just his godhood, but also his immortality. As Hercules begins to grow up, he is forced to live his life amongst humankind, and although he isn't a god, he retains his godlike strength on earth. He eventually discovers the truth about his identity, that not only was he meant to live in Olympus, but that he was in fact a god. So he set out on a journey to become the ultimate hero with the help of his mentor Phil. Hercules time and time again slaughters any beast he comes up against, but it isn't enough for him to be recognized as a true hero and rejoin the gods. It isn't until he is willing to sacrifice his own life for his love Meg that Hercules takes his true form as not just a hero, but a god. And although Hercules was finally able to come home, he rejects that life to live on Earth with Megara. Now, as a result of his choice, Hercules, upon kissing Meg, seems to change back into his previous human form. He no longer has that godlike glow. But many fans like myself have wondered what was to become of him. Did Hercules forever surrender any chances of becoming a god, and therefore not only living like a human, but eventually dying like one as well? Or is his life on Earth with Megara temporary until the day she passes, and then at that point, would he be offered another chance to live amongst the gods? Well, in today's video, I attempt to get to the bottom of what would ultimately be Hercules' final fate. Now, before I start, I do want to say that I will be basing everything in this video off the Disney version of Hercules, not the Hercules in Greek mythology. Okay, let's begin. As a child watching this film, I had always envisioned that Hercules would finally return home to not only live with others like him, but he would start working on and embracing his long-lost powers that he had missed out on for so many years of his youth. But ultimately, Hercules' bond to not just Megara, but all those who loved him on Earth was too strong, and he saw a life more fit for him amongst humans. But what's so troubling about that is none of these individuals will live forever, and when their time comes to enter the underworld, what would he do then? Before I get into my theory, I want to say that I am assuming that Hercules at the end of the movie, after returning to Thebes, returns as a human with no powers at all other than his signature super strength. Now, with that said, my theory is Hercules would be offered to join the gods again when the time was right, rather than die off as a human. And here is my explanation for why I think that is. The first reason doesn't have to do with Hercules so much as it has to do with his fellow gods, who I believe would push for Hercules to return to Olympus. The main reason being that Hercules clearly went above and beyond, proving to his fellow gods and his parents that he was more than capable of keeping Olympus and those who reside there safe, which was illustrated through his defeat of not just the Titans, but of Hades as well. This significant act of heroism was something his fellow gods would never forget. Even at the end of the movie, you can clearly see how enthusiastic they all are to see that Hercules would finally be rejoining them and eventually rule over Olympus. So in my opinion, his fellow gods would be more than happy to have him back and would even push for his return. My second reason that leads me to believe that Hercules would return back to Olympus is the inescapable fate of his loved ones on Earth. I believe that after his family and friends pass, he would be looking to start a new chapter of his life, and perhaps that new chapter would be on Olympus. I think he would seek out his godhood again, mostly because living on Earth without those that were so special to him would not only be lonely, but extremely painful. Now, you are probably thinking, well, wait, why wouldn't Hercules want to join his loved ones in the underworld? Well, I think that Hercules would want the chance to live by his parents' side, which he never really got a chance to do. After all, he was stolen as a baby in diapers from them and then chose to remain on Earth, so he never got an opportunity to get to know them and bond with them. This ultimately leading to an empty space in his heart that could easily be filled with his return. Now, one last question I had thinking about this theory was, how would he get that chance to return to Olympus? Assuming defeating Hades years and years prior wasn't good enough, enough. If in fact he needed to prove himself again, then in my opinion, it would not only be simple, but easy. You see, with Hercules written in the stars as a hero like we see at the end of the movie, I think this solidified Hercules' fate on Earth, which was to be a hero that looks after his fellow civilians just like how the stars watch over the planet. As a young lad, Hercules trained to become a hero, which had not only become part of his identity, but it was his line of work, which we see in the movie, but also more in depth in the TV series. Ultimately, this continuous effort to fight the bad guys would signal to the gods that he was more than worthy of another chance to rejoin them in the heavens. Well, that concludes this episode of Disney Daily. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Now, there are some rumors that a live-action Hercules is in the works, and with that said, I want to know who you all would cast in a live-action remake. Please leave that down in the comments. As always, thanks for being my guest here at Disney Daily. Until next time.